Social Assistance Future Focus Bill, second reading.
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, I move that the Social Assistance Future Focus Bill be read a second time. Mr Speaker, this bill is part of the Future Focus initiatives that we campaigned on, that we announced in March and that New Zealand wants. Future Focus will help people by a mixture of incentives and obligations. It reassures the New Zealand taxpayer that we are spending their money carefully, as only those who need help will get it. It is fair to both those who need the help and those whose tax dollars provide it. This government is committed to a welfare system which is fair and sustainable, and one that helps people in their time of need, while not trapping them in a downward spiral of dependence. It is undeniable that in New Zealand we have too many children growing up in homes where the only income is the benefit for years and years and years. We want them to have aspirations, we want them to have hope, and we want them to have that sort of opportunity. Over the past decade, New Zealand became complacent about benefit numbers. With a relatively good economy and skill shortages everywhere, the government really didn't have to do anything much to see unemployment numbers fall like they did. But the unemployment figures hid the true story: the increasing number of people consigned to welfare long term, who were effectively really written off. John Key's government believes everyone should be working if they can. They should be in full-time work if it's available. They should be able to have the sorts of opportunities, the upskilling and the training that matters. Today, Mr Speaker, we have seen the HLFS and the numbers up at 6.8%. The unemployment benefit story over the last same quarter, though, showed that we were having some stability there and that people were actually getting opportunities. In July alone, we saw 6,300 new jobs come into work and income. But, Mr Speaker, it doesn't say that it's easy for people at the moment. That's why we need to make sure we're putting the right supports in place. We're helping those people that need it most, but we're backing them to upskill, get in training and actually look for work. And I believe that the vast majority of New Zealanders do want to work. But if you haven't worked for a long time, Mr Speaker, or ever in some cases, you might need help, encouragement, incentives and even the occasional prod. This bill reinforces those expectations on people receiving a benefit. It is very clear about what New Zealand expects people to do in return for the financial support they receive. We expect those on the unemployment benefit to make every effort to find work. We expect them on the domestic purposes benefit, whose youngest child has turned 6, to be looking for part-time work. We expect those on a sickness benefit, whose doctors say they can work part-time, to be doing so. These are all reasonable expectations. Those that are looking but cannot find work will not be penalised at all. And I want to say that again to the member. Those that are looking for work but can't find it will not be penalised by these changes at all. In fact, Mr Speaker, there are incentives in this bill that will be supporting and helping those people that are stepping up who wants to do it. And we've taken great care, Mr Speaker, to be reasonable in implementing these work tests. Mr Speaker, we are looking at making sure that it is suitable work for those people that are looking, making sure that it does fit in with them and their families, as closer to home if it has to be, as giving them those sorts of opportunities. If we have expectations on those that are on welfare, there need to be consequences on people who don't play their part. It is reasonable to have rules about what will happen if people do not meet these expectations. If someone is not prepared to make the effort to find work and look for work, why should taxpayers continue to provide support? People will obviously continue to receive help if they are trying but not succeeding in finding a job. but there are clear sanctions for those who do not make that effort to go to an interview, get help for alcohol or drug problems which are stopping them from working, or to turn up for training courses. The Select Committee, in its consideration of the bill, recommended a number of changes. These changes, Mr Speaker, improve the clarity of the bill in a number of places, and I thank the committee for the work that they have done. And I'd like to address some of these changes. The committee has recommended that the name of the bill be changed to the Social Security New Work Tests, Incentives and Obligations Amendment Bill, a recommendation that I support. I am pleased that the committee has recommended a name that reflects the bill's intent. The bill introduces a work test for sole parents once their youngest child is 6. Just last week, an American study into the effect of maternal employment on child cognitive and social development by assessing the total effect on a child of the mother going out to work, including factors outside the home. The study by New York's Columbia University School of Social Work found that while there are downsides to mothers taking work during their child's first year, there are also significant advantages: an increase in mothers' income and well-being, and a greater likelihood that children receive high-quality childcare. The work test for sole parents is a key part of the Future Focus package. It reflects our desire to encourage people who have a youngest child aged 6 or more back into work. We believe this is in their own best interests, the best interests of their children and those of New Zealand as a whole. We are bringing in some incentives to make work pay, including changes to the abatement regime that we haven't seen, Mr Speaker, for many years. Beneficiaries will be able to earn more and keep that money in their own pocket before it affects the amount that they can get each week. We're also focusing quite strongly, Mr Speaker, our childcare resources where they are needed most. We are putting additional training and industry partnerships in place, working with these sole parents to ease their transition back into the workforce when that work becomes available. Already we have 17 employers indicating that they want to work with us, particularly with those women that are on the DPB and going into part-time work. The key to the success of this legislation being implemented will be how we work so closely with both employers, those that are trying to gain skills, get experience so that they can go into that workforce. I do often think, Mr Speaker, that a key difference we see is I don't see these people as victims. I see them as survivors that have something to contribute to society, opportunities for them to step up, and I'm going to back them in that every time. The provisions in the current Act allow the work test to be delayed for 4 weeks following a child's 6th birthday. This dates back to the last time a work test for sole parents was introduced. The committee has recommended removing this provision so that a sole parent can be work tested straight away. This makes sense, as work and income will in any case be writing to all DPB sole parents 4 weeks before their child turns 6, and as the committee points out, this is enough notice. There are sanctions in this bill for those who do not take their obligations to work towards getting off welfare seriously. However, we are making it easy to recomply because this isn't about punishing people. It's designed to get them to change their behaviour. For example, if you have been sanctioned for failing to turn up for a training course, a commitment to attend will mean you comply, as long as it is followed up with the actual attendance, of course. For persistent offenders, the work and income will be looking for actions rather than just those promises. The committee also recommended that people should only have 4 weeks in which to recomply following a first sanction for failing to meet their obligations. Setting a time limit sends a strong message. Mr Speaker, 2 of the submissions on the bill recommended that nurse practitioners be allowed to sign medical certificates for sickness benefit. This is an issue that has been raised on a number of occasions, and I am happy that we are fixing this. It makes sense for the person supervising a person's health care to assess their ability to work. Mr Speaker, the bill introduces a new requirement that people receiving the unemployment benefit have to reapply for that benefit after 52 weeks and complete a comprehensive work assessment. Finally, Mr Speaker, I again want to thank the Select Committee for the work that they have done, the thoroughness and the advice that we have taken in some of the changes of this bill, especially the work of the Chair, Katrina Shanks, and my colleagues on the committee. They have listened, have sought advice, had those officials that work so closely with them, and have made recommendations that